Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Dream Plan Start Grow, my podcast. I started this show because I love entrepreneurship and I love to talk to others about how they got their start and what they do in business. And I find that we learn from each other. We learn from people that we talk to that are maybe not in the same business we are, that I'm in, but we can learn different techniques, different ways of handling things in business. So today I am super honored to have with me Andrea Vallely, the co-founder of Shift Happens Global, a transformative coaching and training company specializing in retreats, personal coaching, and empowering teens. So I'm going to bring Andrea up to the stage. Hi, Andrea. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Allison. We'll have fun.
So I know you and your husband own Shift Happens Global. How long have you had the company for?
So we've had the company for, I guess, about 9 years, 10 years. Before that, I had the company maybe 2 years, actually about 4 years prior to that. So it's been about 14 years total, but the two of us merged and we changed the name about 9 or 10 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the company called like when you had it alone?
Spread Happy, which that's the parent company is Spread Happy. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have any challenges? Because I know like we rebranded in 2021 to BatCat Media Group, my marketing company. So did you have any challenges when you rebranded the company?
We didn't. I mean, I think it came up very organically. We called some of our programs, we are called Shift Happens, and that came very organically we started doing retreats together, and that came up through a client that came in to work with us for a weekend. And we worked with her for the weekend, and she came in, she was very grumpy. She was like staying at the Delray Marriott at the time, and she was like, oh, everything's wrong and this and that. And then at the end of the weekend, she's like, everything's right. So we said to her, well, what changed? Because the Marriott's still the Marriott, everything else was the change. Everything else was the same. She changed, which is what we do. We show you it's not about changing what's outside of you. It's not that won't happen. But that's not the first port of call. The first port of call is always you. So we started doing these retreats, and we came up with the name through a friend of ours. We were chatting, and Shift Happens came up, and it's actually the name of a book by my first teacher, who I got my first coaching certification from, Robert Holden. So I emailed him and I said, would it be okay to use this name? And of course, he's so gracious. He was like, of course. So that's how the name came up. And then it just made sense because that's the theme of what we're offering to the world.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's a great name because obviously it's a play off on, shit happens. And, so it's a play on words essentially, but I think it's all about how we perceive things out in the world, because like you said, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Yes.
But I think if we perceive things differently, you perceive something bad happening to you as a learning experience instead of like, oh, woe is me. Why does this always happen to me? And what, this is wrong, because once you go down that road of something's wrong, then basically you attract more of that to you. And then everything's wrong, basically because you see everything from those, I guess, non-rose colored glasses, those black glasses or whatever.
100% through those eyes. We get 11 million impressions per second, and we take in 40. So most of us, well, all of us really, are taking in the 40 that we've been recycling. So in order to change that so you can see a different crew of what's available, you have to make a concerted effort. And you really want to educate yourself about the operating system behind your psychology. Because once you understand that, it really is a game changer. But most of us, if we don't spend time looking in this direction, don't understand that. So we're just sort of like falling over our feet and wondering why things are not working out well. Or wondering why we're struggling, or wondering why, having the same relationship over and over again, just the person looks different. But
yeah, that's so funny because you and I were talking off air a little bit about, my stepdaughter's former relationship. And it was one of those things like, when someone not her, but her former relationship, can't stay in a job, and it's always the boss did this, or this person did this. And I'm like, yeah, but the common denominator is you. It's not, it can't every time be this.
Yeah,
I get that sometimes there's like a bad boss and maybe there's some racism or whatever it is, but it can't be that every single time.
No, you're literally calling it in. You're calling it in.
Right. Yeah, my favorite quote, see if I can actually get it right on the fly, is Charles Swindoll is life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it.
Yes, it's a phenomenal quote, and it's true. It's true.
Right. So when you first started the company then 14 years ago, what was your ultimate goal for the company?
Yeah, it was super different. I didn't even know it was a company.
So it's more of a way of life of spreading a message.
Yeah, but at that time I was blogging and I was coaching, and I didn't see much further than that. I was really getting my feet wet with coaching and learning a lot and studying and getting all kinds of certifications. So at the time, that's all I could see. But it was very interesting how things started to evolve, and then we sort of found out, where as we streamlined what we were doing, we were able to see, oh wow, this is super powerful in this area. This is super powerful in this area. So it's just been over the years, and again, just like you streamline your business and you see, where you're going organically. That's always been our thing, is not, oh well, that's what they're doing, so let's go do it. It's always been, things have come up for us and we've paid attention, and
Right.
it's made sense for us to go in a direction if it authentically feels like the next right step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then when Lee, your husband, came into the picture, how did you decide? Did he have his own company at that point, or?
Oh, yes, he was coaching. He's from England, and he was actually working with kids. He was mentally training kids that were going to Wimbledon, and he was very interesting. And
I
then
did not know that. Like I played tennis growing up. I never knew that part. I'm like a huge Wimbledon person, so
neither am I, but that's what, he was mentally training them. He's always like, it was mentally, it wasn't physically training them. Although he was a personal trainer at one point in his life, but he wasn't doing that. And he did have a coaching business. But what happened was okay, I'm going to try to make this short. His aunt came over to England because her mother had a hip replacement. So he was there helping as well, because he was the grandkid that lived the closest to her. And long story short, she was a partner. She and her husband were partners in a rehabilitation center they had addictions and dual diagnosis. And it was a spiritually based center. It was actually really, really beautiful. And the person that was doing the coaching was one of the partners. He had the coaching program to help people, where are we going now in life? And he was leaving. So they bought him out. So they needed somebody to come over in the interim until they found somebody to work there permanently. So they brought him over to, he was only supposed to be for a couple of months. And I met him the day he got off the plane, and give me your passport. You're not going back. And here we are.
Oh my God, you met him the day he got off the plane, huh?
Literally the day he got off the plane.
Wow.
He, of course, his flight was late, He got in at like 12:30 at night to West Palm Beach, came in the next morning to, his aunt brought him in to show him around. She opened the door to my office, introduced me. I said, that's it. You're not going anywhere.
Hey, Vanjie, thanks for jumping in and joining us today. So that's interesting. Interestingly, I never knew that he did. Yeah, I mean, I was a tennis player growing up, so that's interesting. I never knew that piece of the history.
Yes.
So when you guys merged your two businesses together and then made the Shift Happens Global, like you were obviously, you said you were focused more on, you were doing some coaching and then blogging and things like that. And then he was coaching the kids and things.
Well, yeah. And he was also, he worked for Tony Robbins. He was coaching adults too. That was just one of the things that he happened to work for that company and did that as well. And he was he's a trainer in NLP. He's got a lot of certifications in the mental wellness industry. Okay. So when we met, we were working actually with people that were experiencing addiction and also mental health issues. Okay. So the place that we worked for closed. They were bought out. It was something that happened very, very quickly. And we had a choice when that happened. Do we go work for another treatment center, or do we start something on our own? Now, I'd already had my business, so I was an outside contractor, but, it was cozy. It was like comfortable, I was an outside contractor, but I was there 5 days, I was working a 40-hour week in a sense. But that was the big, ooh, let's go do something on our own. Let's branch out. And that's when we decided to create really, the company, it not as it is today, because we weren't quite there, but we were coaching, we were working together, coaching people. We were doing intensives, weekend intensives, and then we started doing retreats. And that was about 7 or 8 years ago. We started doing the retreats.
Okay. And how is it working with each other? Because obviously I work with Jack,
Yes.
and so I know there can be some challenges working with a spouse that you're living with and working with and playing with and doing kind of everything with.
There's Lee. There's Lee. He says that about me because I'm always like knock, knock, knock on his office door. Lee. But, well, while our company is together, we don't work together all of the time. So I see my own clients, he sees his own clients, but we create together. So for instance, we work with businesses. We have memberships for businesses. We do workshops for businesses. So that we do all of that together.
Okay.
And then our online courses, all of that is something that we've done together. Our retreats, we do that together. But our day-to-day, Lee's writing a book. Well, he's finished writing a book. He's doing the last bit of editing. So, our day-to-day, he's working on finishing that up. And then, we're always working on course content. And day-to-day, and he's coaching his clients, I'm coaching my clients, but we're doing things together, like our memberships, we do them together. So we're not together all of the time. And I would say, in order to work together you really have to love what you do. Now, Lee and I, live, eat, and breathe what we do. Like, it's not only our career, but it's our hobby. Like, we're geeks. If we're like, our, fun Friday night for us is like, watching, a YouTube of somebody that we follow, or, reading. That's like a fun thing for us. We're always reading, we're always studying, we're always immersing ourselves in this conversation. So, for us, we get to work and do things that we love, and then our fun stuff is the same. Although, I just caveat, because you and I have talked about this, the stuff that I don't love and that he doesn't love is like all of this stuff. Like, I don't love the computer. We need the computer. We have to still do it. But, the technical side is not super fun. We have a team that does certain things for us, but not everything, because I feel it's important for me to know how to do stuff.
Right.
So that's the part that can be a bit of a challenge, but you work on it together,
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. I find that, Jack and I obviously don't always work because we kind of work on separate sides of the business, but and it may be a little bit different because, I'm the company owner and then Jack works for me. So that's probably a little bit different than where you guys are. If you're, 50-50, I don't know if you're 50-50 or how you are in your business, but, sometimes it's just a matter of like, where does the business conversation stop and like the personal conversation, it sounds like everything's the same direction for you as well, as far as, because you're so passionate about what you do that that's what you do in your off time too.
Yeah, this is like, we're so, just enamored in wanting to have a better understanding of how this whole thing works. It's fun. It's fun to discover what's possible when we, get out of this recycle bin,
Right.
Really fun for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what's the favorite part of your job and your company?
Working with people. That's the favorite. Absolutely. Whether it's a group or whether it's one-on-one, a retreat online, just that connection with people is the most fun, I would say.
And how do people find you? Like, what are you doing I know you're out and about a lot on internet and social media and obviously networking and things like that. How are you getting clients now?
That's it. It's all organic. We've
Yeah.
never advertised. It's just been word of mouth.
Mhm.
And yeah, just being out in the world, being out in the world. And I'm not great with social media, as you and I have talked about, but I'm enjoying it more. I'm enjoying it more, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always been sort of like finding our feet. We get
Right.
introduced to people. Things just have worked out that way.
Well, I know Lee was doing a lot of video
Yeah.
himself, and then sometimes the two of you would be together because I would see him on Facebook. And so is he still doing that? I haven't seen it recently.
Yes, he's very proud of himself. He's doing his YouTube shorts, and they're really phenomenal. I mean, he's having such a good time with the editing part, but he's giving like little nuggets of wisdom, just like less than a minute, just like here's a boom, here's something to think about today to bring into your awareness. And yeah, he's really enjoying that. And that's another way, that people find out about us and they end up, calling us or joining our membership or taking a course
Right.
or something like that.
Right. Right. Oh, that's great. So what's been the biggest challenge of your business to date?
Well, I would say the balance with the social media, because um, you can get lost in it. I feel like you can get lost in thinking that you have to have a certain presence. So I would say really, figuring out how to streamline that, I would say, has been the biggest challenge.
Okay. Yeah. No, you can definitely get lost in it because if you wanted to, you could spend all day on it.
And it can suck you in.
Right.
It's made to suck you in. There you go.
Yeah. And what are your go-to platforms right now, like yours personally?
Yeah. So right now, I mean, Facebook, because that's my age, but and Instagram, I'm getting more friendly with, and TikTok, I'm getting more friendly with, and LinkedIn, I'm spending a little bit more time on LinkedIn. But that's really it. Those are the main ones. I would say, like Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn and Facebook are there as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always tell people in that world, since we do marketing and we do some social media management, although I'm pretty particular on who I'll take on as clients for that, because I don't have a huge team for that. So it's really specific, to what they need. But I always tell people is you have to know where your ideal client is. Make sure you know who the ideal client is, first of all, because, not everyone is not your ideal client. I still get some people that are like, everyone. I'm like, oh, no.
Right.
I don't care if you're selling a t-shirt, not everyone, because some people don't wear t-shirts,
Right.
So not everyone's your ideal client. And I think the more you can niche down, your marketing message is a little more clear.
Yeah.
Then it's easier to figure out, okay, what are the platforms, and it's interesting. TikTok, when it first started, was all the kids dancing and all the stuff. And we still get some of that craziness going on when I scroll through, and I'm like, I think that's the platform I can get lost on, because you're like watching whatever video flips in there and you're like, oh, and then you flip to the next one. So I think that's a platform I'm like, okay, you got to go. You can't sit here and look at this all the time. Like, go on and do what you need to do. And, you give yourself like 5 minutes to flip through and look at a couple things and then get back off. So.
Yeah, you have to like set a timer, because it is addicting. I mean, it's made to suck you in,
Right. So, yeah. And I mean, I've been working on the YouTube side as well. So when I film these longer videos, I mean, this gets cut up into shorts that'll go on YouTube and reels and things like that. So, I think that's great that Lee is doing that.
Lee is having a ball on YouTube. I'm so glad. He's having fun with it, but it's very handy because now he's doing, he's making shorts for me for TikTok and Instagram and those things. And it's the way of the world today. Like, you can't fight it. It is what it is. So if you want to have a presence and, you want people to know who you are, that's the way to do it.
Well, and I think especially in what you do, where you're coaching people one-on-one or even group coaching, things like that, that people want to know you. They're not just going to sign up for a coaching program because, oh, this ad looks good. Like,
I mean,
let me see, I've never even met these people before, but let me sign up for something and spend all this money. And I've never even heard these people speak. Oh, he's British. Where'd that come? Like,
right.
I think people want to know what the energy is, and, especially if it's something you're doing together, like how you guys work together and bounce off each other. And, because they may love you and then maybe they don't, like he rubs them the wrong way or something like that, so maybe they just want to do individual coaching with you, and that's fine too. So I think that's where I always tell people, because I still get people that are resistant to video, and I'm like, you've got to, and I was resistant to video, but just for myself, but I'm like, it's like you have to be on video. I mean, because otherwise people, I think we're in the day and age of like branding yourself.
Yeah.
And branding, hence the Allison Turner on this background right here. So, I mean, branding yourself, and people are doing business with who they know, I can trust, but they're doing it based on, who that person is. And even if you're a big company, it's like, okay, who is that person? You always hear, even on those big companies, that, you went and you really gelled with your whatever customer service rep of whoever that is. And then all of a sudden you had a bad experience because that customer service rep left the company and went somewhere else. But it's like you do it because of that, not necessarily because of Shift Happens Global or BatCat Media Group or whatever.
Yeah, it's relationships, your relationship building. And that's it. People buy from people they like. That's just it. You want to have a relationship. The person that you're entrusting with feeling better, and especially, well, in every business, but when you think about the person that you're entrusting with, I want to get to a better place in my life. Like, I have all the things, but there's a piece missing. Like, you want to talk to somebody that you feel comfortable with, that you feel cares and really wants the best for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's been your biggest success to date?
Well, what came to mind for me, and it's really not such a big deal, but what came to mind for me was, I would say the media, like doing television, because, and again, when I say it's not a big deal, it's because it's not like, oh, the TV, whatever. But what I mean is that it came out of nowhere, and I didn't go through the ranks of you have to do X, Y, and Z before you get on television. I just had an idea, and it really it just happened, like I just met the news anchor for CBS at the time. I ran into a friend of mine who was having lunch with her, and he helped us book our retreats. So he knew what we did, and he knew that she was very into self-discovery and, spirituality and this kind of thing, and introduced us, and she had me on, and I never left. It was like, oh, okay, well, this is great. So let's do this every Monday, So that was probably when I think about like the biggest, accomplishment as far as something totally, out of left field, unexpected. I mean, I had said once to Lee, wouldn't that be cool to be able to, share this on TV,
Right.
to wake people up who aren't necessarily looking to be tapped on the shoulder, they're watching.
Exactly.
So let's show them something happy. Let's show them something positive. Let's show them what they're made, so
yeah,
that would probably be the coolest thing.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to, what I always stress to business owners and my coaching side of my business is, sometimes you have to just set whatever the intention is, and you don't know what the how is. And I think back on, and that's really why I love coaching someone that's starting a business or newer in business, because I remember my early days in business. I was like, I'm a type A personality. So you get the idea, and I'm like, I need to know steps 1 through 10 before I start. Like, I need to know like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need to like all written out, know what the roadmap looks like. And now I'm just like, okay, yeah, that'd be nice. And then I'm like, I don't know how that's going to happen, but we'll figure it out along the way. And, but I think that's where success comes in business, is when you set whatever the goal is or put the intention out there, and you don't necessarily know the how, but it's always kind of on your mind of like, that's where I want to go. And then things start opening up. In your case, you just happened to meet the right person who introduced you to the CBS news anchor, and boom, you were on TV.
Yeah, and she's one of my dearest friends. So it was like a double
Yeah.
win to get to meet her, you know.
Are you still doing that? Was that here? Or was that in?
No, it was, yeah, it was here. So I'm not on every Monday anymore, but I am on
Mhm.
usually like once a month or something. Yeah,
Okay.
when COVID hit, they stopped all live guests and everything shifted. But now I've been doing like stuff, all over, podcasts all over and other
Great.
TV things like that. So it's been fun. That's been a lot of fun. I
Yeah.
love to share. I mean, I love to share because, it's available for all of us. We can all wake up to the truth of who we are. If we're living a life that does not feel good, we don't have to stay there. And
Yeah.
it's not, just like you said, it's not about moving your circumstances, although that may be something that you do, but wherever you go, there you are. So you want to get really friendly with how the operating system works so that you can get yourself into a place
Right.
where you see the world differently, and then you'll experience the world differently and things will start to shift. It's just how it is. But
Yeah.
people don't know that there's a science behind all of this. It's not woo woo.
No, 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 it's definitely not woo woo. I mean, it's funny because I released a reel short this morning that was, that I'd cut up, but I was like, oh, let me release this one. And not really thinking that I was interviewing you at the time, but I mean, it was on, basically creating your best life. So, and it was a short based on a longer live stream that I did on gratitude and things like that. But,
Yes, I saw that. I saw that.
so yeah, so it's funny that, because I think it is, you have to be intentional in creating what it is you want. And yes, you're still going to run into challenges and you're still going to run into whatever that is. But how do you get around that? And especially in business ownership, which I'm going to go back to here, is I think, especially when you haven't been in business before and you decide you want to start a company and, you don't have the job description, because now guess what? The job description, like you're doing everything some of the time, depending on how much capital you have to start with, you're doing everything. You might be the website designer, the accountant, the marketer, the salesperson, the implementer of whatever the service is, you're doing it all. And all of a sudden now you're having to figure out like, oh, wait a minute, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And that can be overwhelming from a business standpoint, or from a personal standpoint. It can just be overwhelming. And especially when you maybe don't have the support system in place yet because you just started it, and maybe your friends they work for other people, they were working for other businesses. So you don't have even the friends where you can be like, yeah, I encountered this today. And they're just like, oh, okay, like whatever. And I mean, it reminds me of one of my interviews was it last year? I think it was last year, maybe the year before, but I interviewed Laura McKinney, and that's Frank McKinney's daughter. I don't know if you know Frank McKinney. Do you know him in this area? So he's a real estate developer. I mean, he and his wife recently moved. She's an interior decorator, but they recently moved up to North Carolina, but he's done kind of big mansions on the ocean, but like really outside the box mansions. Like he had a floor that had a like aquarium underneath the floor. You could see the fish while you're walking. It was like super cool. But so, they're spec homes. There we go. I'm like, what's the word? They're spec homes. Yeah. And so it's super cool. But their daughter came out of Penn State during the pandemic, and she was supposed to go work for an advertising agency in New York City. And she just basically, they shut that down because of, the pandemic and everything. And so she ended up just starting her own company. And at age 22 or whatever she was, coming out of Penn State, she just started her own branding company up in New York City. And so I interviewed her too. And she talks about, how it was, because I was like, who, friends your age most of them aren't starting companies. She's like, yeah, a lot of my mentors were like in their 30s. So I was hanging out with people, she's like, I'd still go off my friends that are my age, but I would hang out with people in their 30s that had been in business now for a couple of years, and those were the people that would support me and the mission and the, going forward. So, I mean, she's wise beyond her years, but because she's done amazing things with her company in just a couple of years that it's been open. But I think that's true that, you have to kind of find that support system and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when when you share that, it's like, well, that was divine. She was meant to open up that company. That was a gift.
Yeah.
The situation didn't
Yeah.
work.
Because I think she always thought she would open her own company because both her parents are entrepreneurs, but she just, it got pushed to the forefront with the pandemic, and she just did it a little earlier than she was planning to, but
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that's how you learn. I mean, you figure it out. You tap into your wisdom. We all have wisdom. We have a knowing. We have intuition. You tap into that. That's your best friend. You get real friendly with it, and you go.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, did you always know you wanted to own your own business?
No, not at all. I don't think I ever really thought that that would be a thing. I used to work in radio, so I was worked for people. But life just took a turn, and I went with it. And now, honestly, like, I couldn't sleep at night not doing what I'm doing, no matter what is happening, no matter if things are going well, or we perceive something is going not well. It doesn't matter, because that's all perception anyway. But um, I just have such a deep calling and knowing that I can't look away. It's like I just can't look away. Sometimes, would it be easier to just like go to an office and then shut it off and come back? Of course.
Yep.
But that's not what I'm here to do. And I just know it. So, and it's interesting because I would not say like, oh, I'm a phenomenal businesswoman. I mean, don't come to me for business advice, No, that would be really stupid. Come to me for coaching. Come to one of my programs. I can deliver 100%. I can deliver for your staff. I can deliver for your family. Like, I can deliver for your kids. Phenomenal. I know what I'm doing. But business, I'm learning. But just like you said, like, we've had amazing people along the way that have shown up that are phenomenal in business, that have helped us to figure things out where I wouldn't have known, because my degree's in music, for God's sake. So,
I didn't know that. Music, huh? Interesting.
But yeah, it's been a wonderful learning, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm here to this is what I'm here to do. It's like, oh, I'm here to learn something that I didn't think I would ever need to learn or want to learn, and here I am learning it. But the essence of what we do, it's within me. I can't look away. It's what I'm meant to share with the world, and I know that deeply.
Right. No, that's great. And I think, I never saw myself as a business owner. My mother was like a stay-at-home mother, and my father was in the financial planning world. And it was always like, go to college, get a job, figure out whatever. And then, by the time like I went and got the jobs, people weren't necessarily staying at that same job for, 30 years and then retiring and getting the pension and the whatever. They were going in and, figuring out, like you said, kind of what you wanted to do. And I mean, which is what I was doing early on, is like, okay, do I want to go this direction? I want to go this direction, and just trying different things and figuring out what they liked. And I think that's the world we kind of live in now, is people are going more the direction that you coach on, of what's making me happy here. I think I finally figured out that I get bored in jobs. So like it's not like I don't like what I do, but whatever the job is that I've had, I worked in social services coming out of college, and I just was banging my head against the wall at one point. So I was like, okay, I gotta leave. I guess I'm just getting frustrated because I could only do so much, and because whatever the job was fit into this little box, but they needed this over here, but you couldn't do this because you didn't have any funding to do this. And, all that side. And then I went and taught tennis for many years, and that was fun. But then I always had to be like teaching tennis and doing something in administration and that side of things too, because I'd get bored. If I was just teaching, wouldn't fulfill me. If I was just doing the other side, I wouldn't, like I was doing the combination. So at least it was good for the length of time I did it, which was still like almost 14 years. But, but then I was like, okay, what's next? Like, where's the next step? And even then I wasn't necessarily going to start my own business. And I think I kind of stumbled on, kind of like what you said, is you started something that was maybe not a business to start with, even if you incorporated, it was, something you love to do. And that's what I was doing too, originally. And then, this is kind of morphed into where it is right now. So,
Yeah.
but I,
Just
yeah,
let the way be shown, just be open
right,
to possibilities, and lots of amazing things happen that, you couldn't see a year or two ago. You
right,
didn't have the eyes to see it.
right. So what's on the kind of next horizon for Shift Happens Global?
Well, we are working with businesses, which is really fun for us, but working with their team, because when your team is healthy minded, right, when they have a clear mind, it's going to do better. You're going to have less attrition. You're going to have more productivity. You're going to have more loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to miss less days. They're going to be more engaged. They're going to want to do well for you when they feel loved and cared for. So, we again teach them the simplicity behind the system, so that you're not walking around in a struggle. You're not walking around bringing your home life to work, which is a disaster. You learn how to have that clear mind, and how to, like, live in a better space. Again, it's what 40 are you focusing on? Because if you're always mad at the secretary or mad at the client or whatever, good luck, right?
Right.
So that's been a really fun thing for us. And one of the things that we're doing is online memberships. So
Okay.
that's a really inexpensive way to stay in this conversation, get tons of information, tons of resources, get on some live calls. And we do that for businesses, where we work with teams, with businesses. And we also do that, for the general public.
Okay.
So it's fun. And we have a retreat. We have a retreat coming up in May, and that's like one of our favorite things to do. We get to spend a weekend in this conversation and have a good time and go out to dinner and go to the beach and, like all these fun things with amazing people. And so we show them like how to live this life and bring it into your world. Like, you don't have to be on a mountaintop. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go to India for 5 months to feel better. You can feel better,
Right. Right. Exactly. And then how do they, so say they do this retreat, for example, then, like you and I've both gone to conferences and it's like rah, 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 and everything's like kumbaya and everything's cool. And if you mentioned Lee's done stuff with Tony Robbins, so obviously Tony Robbins a great example of that. And then you come out of it and you're still, for the first day or two, you're like, okay, yay. And then like all of a sudden you're back to like the same crap.
Yeah. Well, it's bringing what we show you how the operating system works, right?
Okay.
So learning how to live from inspiration rather than motivation, because motivation has a shelf life. Inspiration is always here for us. Like there's a very fine line. And that's why we call the weekend shift happens, because a lot of times people will go on vacation. Oh my God, I got to get away. I'm so stressed. I got to go on vacation. They go on vacation. They feel great, but they come back to the same life, because nothing has changed. Their thinking hasn't changed. They're still seeing the world through the same lens. Well, we open up another lens. Like we just open up a whole new way of seeing the world. So when you leave, you're not leaving the tools. It's not like, we'll leave everything that you learned at the door. You're taking it with you, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like once you have an insight, the insight is there because you've seen something differently. You've woken up to something. So it's like, did you ever have the experience of like, oh my God, the dry cleaner is 30 minutes away and it's such a pain in the butt. And then you saw, oh my God, there's a dry cleaner that's 5 minutes away that I just hadn't seen, right? Like sometimes you'll get directions to go somewhere and you're like, oh my God, this place has been 2 minutes from my house all this time. I had no idea. That's what we wake people up to. But again, there has to be a willingness. But once you wake up to it, like you're not going to schlep to the 30-minute dry cleaner when there's a dry cleaner 5 minutes from you. So that's what you're leaving with. That's the difference between going to a motivation, rah, rah, you got it, and learning how to access your natural wisdom, your natural GPS. You really have a natural GPS. So when you learn, you want to get really friendly with it, because if you don't, it's like driving a car, your check engine light's on and you're honking at the guy next to you, telling him to check his engine. No, it's your engine, not the other guy's engine. It's yours. And we're so used to seeing, well, my life stinks because of that.
Yep.
No, it doesn't. You're available for it. Let's get rid of that. You don't want to be available for that. We don't have to be available for it.
Right.
We have to, if you don't, if your processing system is of an ilk that is causing distress, you must change it, and you can. We all have the ability to learn this and understand it and then see it. Lots of times people knock themselves over the head. oh my God, it's been here all the time. I never forget, and I'll shut up. But I was working with this kid. He was 13 years old, and he came to, it was like his second or third coaching session. He goes, oh my goodness, I can't believe this. I said, what? And he goes, I have been imagining this whole time. I've been imagining. And I said, yeah, you're right. He just woke up to it. He's like, oh my God, I am imagining like all this stress that I'm carrying with me, all these stories. I'm the one that's imagining them. They're not even happening. They're not even real.
Right.
But I'm making up stories and carrying them with me and then living from that perspective of this is a problem. That's what we do.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that is what we do. And, it's interesting that you gave that example of people say they, go on vacation and like, I just need Jack's into that, right? I mean, he's been into that for several years. He's like, I just need like a vacation. And I'm like, yeah, but what do you have to, because I was trying to think of what the term, like how you put it is perfect. Cause I'm like, it's gotta be more than just a vacation. It can't just be go sit on the beach and, do whatever, because I said, this work is still going to be there when you come back and the whatever is going to still be there when you come back. But, like he's still trying to get to that vacation.
There's nothing wrong. You should go on vacation, but
Exactly.
if you want your life to change, the vacation isn't going to change your life. The vacation is going to be a wonderful experience while you're having that experience. If you want your life to change, you want to understand the operating system. You want to do a little self-discovery work. And it's not even work. It's just a wake up. You don't have to, here's the thing. You don't have to go through, this happened when I was 12 and this person was off. You don't even have to go through that. You just have understanding of, so you don't have to suffer. You don't have to suffer to get to the good stuff. You just want to have an understanding of how can I handle the thoughts that are in my head in a better way, where I am using everything that's available to me to live a great life. Because this backpack is really freaking heavy that I've been carrying around with all of these things that I'm mad about that happened 5,000 years ago. I'm not belittling anything, but we don't have to carry it with us. We can learn how to transmute it so that the energy is not sitting within us. And we can learn how to forgive the situation, forgive ourselves for hanging on to the situation. We don't have to go back and, you don't have to go back and literally forgive an action that was awful, but you forgive yourself for hanging on to it because there is life. There's something ahead of it for you.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's great. So you said your retreat's in May?
May 2nd, Naples, Florida. Yeah, it's great. It's the Shift Happens retreat. You can go to our website, shifthappens.global, and it's on there. And we do have an early bird special.
No,
book before a certain time, and I can't even remember. It's so that's a lot.
Remember your own special? Don't remember your own special?
Oh, no, I just can't remember the date that the early bird is over because it's not in my head at the moment. But it's, if you book now, there's $200 off the price of the retreat, which is a lot. So yeah, it's great. We've been doing retreats there for 7 or 8 years already. Yeah. And it's great. It's 4 days, 3 nights. You come and hang out. We go on a catamaran. You can go on the catamaran if you want to go on the catamaran. You can come to the cocktail party if you want to come. You can, or not. Or you could just come to the workshops. It's totally up to you. But most people end up doing everything because we always end up having like an amazing group of people that end up like becoming really good friends, and it's beautiful. It's a lot of fun.
No, that's great. That's great. So I always ask as we start to close down one question of all my guests, and that is, if there was one thing that you could share with someone that wants to start a business or that's new in business that maybe you knew going into it, or maybe you've learned along the way that's really helped you accelerate your journey, what would that be?
I would say, don't sit back and think, what is my destiny? You are your destiny. So you are the creator. If you can see it and you feel it within, you can create it. Mm-hmm. So just remember, you are the creator. Like, to me, it's like, gosh, if everybody knew I am literally moment to moment creating exactly what I am experiencing, it's there for you. So don't look for your destiny. Be your destiny. Be your destiny.
Love that. Be your destiny. You have t-shirts made with that? I'm serious. Like, I'd buy a t-shirt with that.
Put it on my little shop tab.
Yeah. Yeah. Be your destiny. I mean, I think that's a powerful statement though, because
It is, and it's true. Yeah. I'm gonna
we are, if you really think about it, we are creating every minute of every day, and you can either create a bad situation or you can create a good situation. Oops. Silence, or your phone can go off. And you're creating whichever way you want to go, depending on how you are perceiving what's going on around you.
Yeah. You are your destiny.
That's great.
Make it a good one. Make it a good one.
Exactly.
Listen to your heart. That's the other thing. Don't do something because your parents think you should, or your boyfriend thinks you should, or your best friend thinks you should. Do what feels authentic in your heart. Listen to this wisdom. Our heart communicates with our brain 10 times more than our brain communicates with our heart. It makes sense to get really friendly with that.
Yeah. Another powerful statement. I'm thinking about it. So that's great. So if people want to learn more about you, I know you mentioned your website a minute ago, but the website's
shifthappens.global. And on Instagram, please come and join us on Instagram. That's my new thing. I'm like, we got to get more on Instagram, but I have lots of fun short clips there. That's Shift Happens Global. TikTok is Shift Happens Global. Facebook is Shift Happens. And that's where we are. YouTube, Shift Happens. It's Andy and Lee Vallely on YouTube. I think it's Shift Happens. I can't remember. But if you go to our website, all the links are there. And and I love comments. Anything anybody wants to hear more about, questions, please, email us or DM us. I love to be helpful. That's my favorite thing. Is like, I can help somebody just see something a little bit brighter. Oh my goodness, that's such a joy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great. Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Andrea. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Allison. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I learned a few more things about you that I didn't know, and about Lee with the tennis. I'm like,
well, me too. I didn't know about the tennis thing with you. There you go.
Yeah. I grew up playing tennis, played Division I college tennis, so and taught tennis for 14 years. So I've been in the tennis, and I've worked with. I mean, when I was growing up, there was a sports psychologist. I know he wasn't a psychologist, Lee, but I worked in that. Someone would come into like a group setting, and so absolutely. And I mean, I think tennis, well, all sports are like 80% mental and 20%.
Oh, totally.
You still have to have the talent, you still have to have the work ethic, and you still have to have all those things that go into successful athletes, but you've also got to have that mindset of, where owning the court or whatever the platform, game you're playing. And
one of our favorite quotes is from The Inner Game of Tennis, and it's potential minus interference equals performance. And that's what we do when we work with businesses. It's like we awaken the potential and, disable all of the interference so that they can, perform. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. I love it.
And thank you everyone for joining me today on the Dream Plan Start Grow show. As I mentioned before, I love working with someone that wants to start a business, someone newer in business, or someone that's just struggling and kind of stagnating in business. So if you have any questions for me, you can go to my website, theallisonturner.com, and I do offer a complimentary consultation there. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.